Let's remove this plastic cover from this package of wet wipes. Add a bit of hot glue and stick it onto the outlet. Now we have a cover for our outlet. This screw keeps falling down. We can wrap it with some plastic wrap in order to make our life a bit easier. Next, we'll make a handle that keeps our broom from falling apart. Cut off the bottom of a plastic bottle and pass a cord through the cap and tie a knot like so. Put the bottle around the end of the broom and shrink the plastic using a heat gun. Now screw on the cap. After some sweeping, we can hang it up when we're done. Our pliers are a little too small to unscrew this. But what about if we use the other side? Use a magnet to organize drill bits. Sawdust often gathers in our toolboxes. We can remove it by putting some masking tape with holes on the end of this vacuum to act as a filter. We don't seem to have the right tool to remove this bolt. If we can trace the shape of the bolt onto this bottle cap, we can use it to help us unscrew the bolt. Using a hammer on wood is going to leave indentations. We can add some hot glue to the end of this hammer to act as a cushion and to protect the wood from being damaged. Unscrewing this nut using pliers can be a little tricky. We can pass a zip tie around the handles to give us a consistent grip as we pass it over the vise. Using a normal sander to sand the inner edges of this piece isn't going to work. We can solve this problem with a little bit of ingenuity. Apply some double-sided tape and sandpaper to the jigsaw blade like so. Now we can sand using our jigsaw. Hanging up disposable gloves like this will keep our hands clean during painting. Need some DIY plastic tubes? Start by cutting a plastic bottle into strips. Now we can pass the strips through the small hole and melt them a bit with a heat gun. We can cut the strips to any size that we like. And even place them into drywall to create anchors for screws. This old label just isn't coming off. We can use this DIY paint scraper to do the job. Our next project is making a can of spray paint using this plastic bottle. We'll attach a bike tire valve to the top of this plastic bottle. Then we'll cut off the top of this spray paint can and remove the inner tube. Then we'll pass the tube through the bottle cap and apply hot glue to seal it. Now we can screw on the cap and attach the nozzle. Fill the bottle with paint and pump it with air. Now it sprays. Using pliers will damage this metal rod. We can prevent any scratches by applying some hot glue to the teeth of the pliers. We can't remove this bottle cap with our bare hands, but we can use this plastic bottle to help us. Melt the top and flatten it out like so. Now we can pop the cap right off. Our cables are always falling off the table when we need them most. Let's attach a comb to the edge of this table to hold all of our cords. You can use a credit card to smooth out this bead of caulk for a clean, professional look. It's always difficult to solder tiny wires. Let's make a little stand. Wrap a rubber band around the handles of one pair of pliers. Place the capacitor in the jaws. Wrap a rubber band around the second pair of pliers and use those pliers to hold up the first pair. Now we can comfortably solder. A quick way to easily sharpen pencils is just by using a sander. We can use this orbital sander paper to draw a few different sized circles, as you can see here. We want to tie this rope around this tree, but which knot should we use? We'll keep things simple and just tie an overhand loop. Start with a simple overhand knot and wrap the rope around the tree. Then use the loose end to follow the path of the overhand knot. Pull it tight, and now you have a secure knot. We'll use a marker to draw onto the latch to give us a mark to drill. Removing this broken pipe is nearly impossible using a wrench or pliers. We can use 2 bolts and a screwdriver to get the job done. We can attach this bolt to this socket to make things easier by drilling. We can use the snap blade to open up old padlocks. We'll bend the blade in half and then cut off one edge on both sides of the blade. Now we can slide the blade between the shackle and the case to pop open the lock. To paint clean and even edges, we can cut the bristles off of this paintbrush at an angle, then screw a plastic card onto the back of one side. This will give us a clean line. We want to make sure to apply Teflon tape to metal fittings. Make sure to wrap clockwise, which is the same direction as the fitting. We can use a drywall knife to better clean up this bucket. Instead of moving the knife up and down, scrape in a circle around the bucket. This axe needs a new handle. Our new handle doesn't quite fit right now. We'll make a few marks along the top of our axe handle. Then we'll make cuts along the marks using a handsaw. Now we can use a couple of balloons to squeeze the handle together. Now we can hammer the handle into the axe head. We'll fill the cuts with glue and some wedges, and then cut off any excess wood. Now we can add a finish to the handle. If we need to remove paint from this roller tray, we can add a few thin layers of paint, letting each one dry in between coats. That will make it easier to pull up the paint in one single layer. When applying mounting tape to this metal frame, we can use a smaller piece of the same frame to line up the tape along the outer side. We can temporarily attach these 2 metal frames together using a couple of screws. We'll first drill our holes, and then we'll make sure to install the screws at about a 45-degree angle. Our next tool that we'll be making is good for connecting 2 metal wires together securely. We'll start by removing the head from this bolt, then drilling a hole through the center. We can use a magnet for any metal dust. Next, we'll use an angle grinder to cut out an indentation in the bolt. Now attach nuts to both sides. We can pass the wires through the hole in the bolt and out through the indentation. Now when we tighten everything together, the wires won't slip. If you happen to run out of caps for your PVC pipes, you can use a straight fitting and a coin that matches the size of your pipe. Next, we'll be using this pipe welding machine to connect the fitting to the pipe. Now the coin will act as a cap. We need to install this T-joint onto this pipe. First, we'll cut the pipe that runs along the wall. We'll use our pipe welding machine again to connect the fitting to the bottom half of our pipe, and then to the pipe that passes through the wall, and lastly, to the top half of the pipe.